So that brings the question. I've seen articles all over the place of people going, is AI ruining video and photography? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like I've talked enough.
I was just curious.
I'll
pitch in after you.
Yeah.
I think technology is good because it makes hard tasks simpler, and then you can focus on other things that you want to focus on the film. However, the downside to that is simple problems that used to exist keep getting covered by technology. So some of like the creative muscles are kind of, I think, going away a little bit because you could have been applying it to this old process and some dude with technology fixed it. And that's an excuse a lot of people use. So I think there's always going to be a number of problems on set or a number of VFX shots or whatever that you want to do. And isn't the whole point for creatives to be able to take a concept in their mind and make it reality? If that process is simpler, then I don't think that's a bad thing. And anybody that disagrees with that is probably a traditionalist. And that's not a bad thing either. If you like doing claymations by hand, even though you could probably do the similar effect in 3D software a lot faster and fix it a lot easier in post, then do claymations, because that's what you like and that's what you want to do. But it doesn't make the new way of doing it any less valid. However, like throwing LUTs and grades on your Instagram post doesn't make you an artist either. Yeah. If that's what you like to do, then go for it. But
I think that's probably, because I agree with everything you said, of course. But I think that's probably the biggest problem that people have with it outside of the, I think it's the accessibility. Because you're taking that ceiling of accessibility and pulling it down, and then you do get that portion of people. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, hey, this is more accessible. I'm going to do this. Now I'm in that realm.
But when it's like, that a bad thing?
I'm not saying that it's a bad thing per se, but it's like, again, throwing something on just because you're like, oh, okay, this works and this looks cool. And then you move on down the road. Like, where does the skill come in? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think having to learn through the process like we have and go, okay, like, I'm going to try to tackle this task, whether that's photography or video. Mm-hmm. And I've had to do it the long way. You know what I mean? And so you respect the process and you respect the new tools, and it's not just something that was just there the whole time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right.
I think that taking the time to invest and learn something it does give you like a respect for it and the work that goes into it.
Because it's like the minute they added that refine hair button, and it's not perfect, don't get me wrong. There's 9 times out of 10 it works. Mm-hmm. But it's like when they did that, I was like, okay, that's really cool, because hair is really hard to rotoscope around. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, the difficulties of doing so. So you're like, wow, this is actually a really cool feature, and like I appreciate this. Mm-hmm. And I just think that appreciation flows throughout the whole artistic process.
I feel like,
but does that make the work better?
That's like,
it can,
the age-old fight with like technology, isn't it? Like, think about how all the lumberjacks felt when the chainsaw was invented.
That's true.
It's like, I've spent hours cutting down this one tree that so much work and effort put into it. And you come along with this chainsaw and it takes you like 5 minutes.
Does it affect the value of the tree? Now in that case, it's less artistic. So that's more of like a straightforward, the tree's cut, it's done, the job's done.
Yeah, I'm really just trying to play devil's advocate here. I mean, which
is good.
There's plenty of times where, you see things, it's like, I know how to hold a camera in my hand and choose the right functions in the manual mode, not auto. And I know how to get the shot that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you see somebody out there that's like, oh, I've shot everything on my cell phone and look how beautiful my art is. And I'm not saying that you can't do that and that it doesn't exist, but it's that different art form. Mm-hmm. It's hard to look at and be like, I respect it the same amount.
So I feel like I used to think about that a lot. Yeah. Was the idea of everything's already been done. But then people like Joel Haver came up, and this other dude that I plugged earlier, like these people went out of their way to go use software that was in alpha and beta, learned how to use it, and then created something.